Well, guys, today I'm going to talk to you about internet, and that is internet for people that have a serious use for it. In particular, if you want to do any kind of live streaming or Zoom calls that are very important, that you not have hesitations. So I want to show you a couple of things. Here, the first thing is there's my Starlink satellite. Dottie just went by it. It's just sitting out on the ground here. A significant thing, though, I've had Starlink for years, and I want you to see the trees. Look at all the trees. It's pointing in the direction of those trees right there. And a couple of years ago, this would have been a deal breaker for Starlink. There's no chance when I first got Starlink over 2 years ago that it would have functioned in this spot. The trees would have been too much interference. There would have been crazy drops. There would have been notices of obstruction. And with this, guess what? I have zero obstructions. They have put up enough satellites and refined the technology enough, so it's not an issue. The other thing I want to show you while I'm outside, the rest of the things that are inside, I'm going to show you in pictures because I'm going to talk as we walk. Look at this pole right here. That is, and let me walk around it so you can see it. It's just kind of a rectangular antenna there, and the line goes into my rig, and that hooks up to my AT&T internet. So there's the first thing to ask is, well, why do you have two sources of internet? And that's where it's the specialty setup comes in, and I use two separate sources simultaneously when I'm doing Zoom calls. They're meetings that I have that I'm a therapist, and I have mental health sessions by Zoom. And you can imagine, I hope I'm not still pointing that up. Yeah, I think we're good. You can imagine these sessions can get pretty emotional, and the last thing you want to have happen is the video to glitch or pause or freeze. That's no good. So I discovered some really interesting software. And that software is called Speedify, and here's what it looks like. One of the things that this software requires on your PC is that you have two distinct and separate, that's a loud bird. You have two distinct and separate Wi-Fi receivers on your computer. Now, any computer, any laptop that you buy, there's only going to be one, right? But there are very inexpensive devices, little tiny things, and here's what my USB device is, and here's what my little tiny one looks like. You just plug this into a USB port, and plug it into a USB port, and you have a separate simultaneous Wi-Fi receiver. So I can receive the Wi-Fi signal from the Starlink. I'm sorry, I got distracted for a second. I can have for example, the AT&T connect through the USB receiver, and the Starlink connect through the main receiver built into the laptop. So why does this become important? Because I have this software called Speedify, show you a screenshot of it. And here it is. And you can see it lists the two connections, and I have it set up to be bonded. And what bonded means is that when you receive Wi-Fi, internet, it comes in what they call packets of data, right? And when there's a glitch, you can drop a packet, and that's why the screen will buffer, it'll stop, it'll become unstable. Well, in bonding mode, it uses both connections simultaneously, meaning there's duplicate packets. So everything is absolutely duplicated. Therefore, if one packet is dropped, say on AT&T, the Starlink there, one is already there to replace it. So drop packets unless two completely separate connections drop the same packet at the same time, which is extremely unlikely. You're going to have a seamless, solid Zoom call, or if you do a live stream, you're going to have a seamless live stream. Now, when I started looking into this, I was looking into hardware devices that do the same thing, and they call it failover, when one connection fails, the other one takes over. But in every one of these devices that I looked into, there was a delay, and the delay basically amounts to the same result as a packet loss. If you have a 1 second delay in the failover, then guess what? You're going to have a 1 second interruption in your live or in your Zoom call, and that doesn't work. Now, since then, I bet there are probably higher end pieces of hardware that'll do the duplicate packets, but why spend the money if an inexpensive piece of software like Speedify can accomplish exactly the same thing? So, is it expensive? Well, first let's talk about Starlink. Starlink right now, I think, for the roaming version, where you can use it anywhere, at least in the continental United States, and I think Canada and Mexico, though I'm not certain. I believe, and I'll put it up on the screen if I'm wrong, because I'm out walking doing this from memory, I think it's up to $160 a month. But I will double check that, and I'll put it right up here. So pay attention to what's on the screen, not what's coming out of my mouth. So that's not what it costs me. I have a grandfathered plan, and I pay $145 a month. And I have a little advantage on that too, because mine is not a roaming plan. Mine is a residential plan that with portability. It's an old plan where you have a home base and you can move with it as well. And they don't offer that anymore, but they grandfathered me in. The big advantage to that is that if you have a residential service, not roaming, but residential like I have, at your home location, you have a higher priority than anyone else coming in with a roaming plan. So my home base is my camping coordinates in Quartzsite, Arizona. So at the peak, when there are maybe a few hundred Starlinks around me with people with roaming plans, I have priority over all of them. So that's a pretty fortunate thing for me. So what about my AT&T? Well, this is my AT&T Nighthawk router. It's the version that has 5G capability, so it's the latest one. I think it's an M6. And I don't know how, but I happened to get a deal where I got it for less than $200. This was listing for $1,000 when it first came out. But it doesn't look very pretty, does it? It's attached to something, and what it's attached to is a device that is a fan that blows air over the device constantly. And hi.
How are you?
Good. It blows air over the device constantly, so it keeps the temperature down, because that device is prone to cut. It's prone to cutting out occasionally because of overheating, and this device mitigates that problem completely. So if you have a small device like this, they're generally not designed to be used 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They're a portable device, so they're not going to be as efficient with being on all the time. So that's easily mitigated by this other device that blows the air over it. That is my explanation for everything on the internet. Sorry, I'm a little distracted because there's a friend of mine that I just ran into here, and I want to talk to him, but this is the end of the video anyway, and I hope you value the information that I gave you there. And if you're a professional person roaming, this could be a good internet solution for you. Take care.